Alright, hey guys, this is AOKJ back at it with another trip down fuzzy memory lane and sometimes oddly specific memories. Last video we were talking about how I was really into Owl City and I became obsessed with it, and I had like a whole phase from I believe elementary to middle school. And even up until high school, and even now I still listen to it sometimes, but back then it was nuts. But it wasn't the only thing I loved and obsessed over. And as you can see from the title, I was very much into Marvel at the time. Well, for actually quite a while, like since I was a little kid. And it's mellowed out like quite a bit from when I was like a kid, like up until high school. And yeah, it's definitely mellowed out now, but it hasn't completely dissipated. Like, it hasn't completely vanished, like, from my life, because I have a We Love You 3000 poster actually right here next to me that I got it was like a promotional gift that I got when I went to see Endgame. I went opening night with a couple of my friends, and I think I went to see it again with my dad and my brother, and we all got, like, these posters, so it's right there. I wish I can show you, but I can't take off my webcam and I mean, I probably could. Can I? You see it? Yeah, there it is. We Love You 3000. Yeah, that was one of the promotional gifts that I got when I went to see Endgame. Alright, let's just set you back. So yeah, that's one of the few posters I have, and there's another Iron Man, like, framed holographic poster that my dad got for me, oddly enough, at Goodwill. He found it. He found it for me, and I love Iron Man. He's one of my favorite Avengers, alongside Spider-Man, actually. And yeah, I'm not gonna pick up the camera. I mean, I could... Yeah, why not? There it is. There's Tony Stark above my bed. Really cool. Yeah, can you believe that he found that at Goodwill? I still can't believe it. Like, he just found it. Like, I don't know, it was like for $10 or something. Center it. There we go. Yeah, like, he found it, like, at Goodwill for me, and he got it for me as a present, and it was so cool. Iron Man, again, is one of my favorite Avengers. And yeah, I have those in my room. And also, I have a bit of merchandise. I have a couple, like, Spider-Man pop vinyl figures. I have a Spider-Man hoodie hanging up right over there from is a Spider-Man Homecoming hoodie from, like, his homemade suit. So, like, it looks like his homemade suit, and, like, the zipper has, like, the Spider-Man, like, a symbol, like, on the zipper, and it has it sewn in on one of the sleeves. Really cool. And I wonder if I had anything else. Yeah, I have a couple t-shirts. I have that hoodie. And then I have... Oh, and I have an Iron Man hat, like, up there somewhere. And I was starting to put these outfits together where, like, I would have, like, a Marvel t-shirt, my Spider-Man hoodie, my Iron Man hat. That's the outfit I wore to both of the two, like, biggest movie premieres of Marvel history, which we'll talk about later. Right now, you know that I was a really big Marvel fan, and I actually had quite a few more t-shirts, some more cringy than others. And, well, actually, there was one that was, like, really cheesy. It was, like, kind of like a kid's t-shirt, but, like, it fit me, and I thought it was cute. It was, like, white, and it had, like, the different colored, like, symbols from some of the superheroes, like Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor, and all that. And it said, "I love superheroes," and I wore that so much when I was in middle school. Oh, my God. It was a lot. It was pretty bad. Now you're probably thinking, what caused all this? It's all my dad's fault. Alright, now give me a second to explain. God, it's like a therapy session. Like, why do you think you have all these problems? Oh, it's probably because of something about my dad. Daddy issues. But no, the reason I was so into the MCU and even superheroes in general as a kid was because of my dad. And it started with little things when I was a kid. He had like Star Wars VHS tapes, like lying around. Like when I was really little, the first Star Wars movie I ever watched was actually The Phantom Menace, because I just remember being like a really little kid, maybe a toddler, and my sisters put in like the Star Wars VHS tape, and I have like flashbacks of me sitting on the bed and looking at the TV on a shelf in the closet, and this big white box with a built-in VCR, and just watching Obi-Wan like fighting Darth Maul. It was sick. I thought it was so cool. Yeah, it started with like Star Wars, and like even watching my dad play video games, and then of course taking my siblings and I to go see like movies. Though I think the real starting point of me like getting into Marvel movies, it wasn't even like before the MC was even a thing. He took me to see the Spider-Man movies when I was a kid, or maybe they came out like months later, and he got them on DVD because he really liked the Spider-Man series. So yeah, the first Spider-Man movie came out, and going on from that, I was just watching like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, like swinging around New York, mouthing off to villains, and like fighting like the Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and the Sandman, and Venom. Like, that was what really got me into superhero movies. Like, it was nuts. Like, seeing that as a little kid, that was like the peak of movie and entertainment, like, for me. Like, even though watching it now, that swinging scene from the first movie was actually just like Mary Jane hugging. You can clearly see that she's just hugging a mannequin in front of a green screen with like a fan probably blowing like her hair to make it look like they're like swinging through New York. But it looks so bad. But like at the time, it was the peak of cinema. That was it. That was just. It was crazy. It was so good. But God, like, those movies, like, kind of, like, that was, like, that was the start that got me into, like, and, like, getting into superheroes and stuff. Even though I do have to admit, the hospital scene from the second Spider-Man movie, it traumatized me. It scared me so much. Oh my God, that scene was so haunting. Where Octavius like gets knocked out, and like he's sent to the hospital, and like they see that these arms are still connected like to his body and still attached to him. So like they're trying to take it off of him, and then what they gotta do, like, they're gonna try to, like, saw off the arms so they can work to get the rest off. And then, like, the arms go crazy, and they start, like, waving around and, like, killing all the doctors. Oh, my God. It's haunting. I think I one time watched it. Like, I rewatched that scene for some reason, like, on a whim, because I was, like, watching, like, Spider-Man clips. And so I'm just like, well, how bad could it be? Like, I was a kid then. I watched it. Okay, I have no shame. I had trouble sleeping that night as a 23-year-old. It's bad. I mean, it's a good movie. Don't get me wrong, but that scene haunts me. It's so creepy. This led to me like really liking Spider-Man and be like, oh wow, like he has the powers of like a spider. He can climb on walls. He can shoot webs from his wrist. He can swing around. He's so strong and cool. He was awesome. He was so cool. And the fact that he was like a nerd like as well, like it's just like I didn't know it at the time, but I was a nerd like from then to now, and it just spoke to my soul. And then that, which also led me to like looking into other things about like Spider-Man. Like, and then when I was like flipping through the channels, like I was like kind of just I just figured out how to work the remote to the TV. And I was like flipping through the channels and all that, and I came across Disney XD, and they were showing like the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon, which is to this day one of the best Spider-Man cartoons out there. It's and the theme song is so fucking catchy, and like and just like the way like they like design like the characters and things like that, and the villains like the Vulture, like Electro, and the Shocker. Like it was all crazy. It was so good, and I was like, and I remember having then I really liked Spider-Man when I watched the movies, but then when I watched the show, like I had such a big crush on Peter Parker. Like especially like how he looked in the show, and just man, he was so cute. Like his brown hair, his brown eyes. I remember like he had like in the show he had like a birthmark like on his cheek, and oh my god. He was the ideal man for me. He's the perfect man. Yeah, I just became further infatuated with the hero of New York, and I became convinced I became convinced that I would one day go to New York and meet Spider-Man and like just like fall in love. Thankfully, I kept that dream to myself because no one had to sit me down and crush my dreams. Like I kept it to myself. I grew up and I realized like, oh, it's not real. Okay, okay. I mean, it was a tough pill for me to swallow, but I did it, and no one had to sit me down and like explain like reality to me. Because honestly, I think it's better for you to find out on your own than rather than to have someone come in and crush your dreams. But then after that, things kind of like toned down after like the third Spider-Man movie that came out, and of course like it was a long time before like we saw like anything like that. I mean, unless you count like the X-Men movies, and I I don't know if I fully watched like a full X-Men movie. I remember glimpses of Hugh Jackman, like with like the Wolverine sideburns and hair and the claws, and but yeah, I believe I watched or like caught glimpses of like the X-Men movies. And I had watched I'd watched the Spider-Man movies, like, and my dad was probably just like, oh yeah, she can handle it. It's okay. And also I didn't end up remembering much, so it's not like it traumatized me. And he was like an irresponsible parent. Like it was just on in the background, I think, or whatever. And I was just like, the guy with the claws is cool. That's about all I remember. I oddly enough never really got into like the X-Men movies, though I did watch, I think the first full X-Men movie that I watched, like beginning to end, even though I don't remember much of it, was, it wasn't Logan. That was, like, this was like this is like a bit back. It was kind of like a flashback, and like, was it Wolverine? It was a Wolverine movie. It wasn't an X-Men movie. It was a Wolverine movie. I remember watching that, though I can't remember specifics. I might have to rewatch it again, because I remember really liking it, even though I was a kid. But I'm getting sidetracked. Anyway, the Spider-Man movies had come and gone, and it would be a long time before we saw anything like that again. Until May of 2008. I had just turned 9 years old a month ago, and my dad took me and my little brother to go see, like, the first Iron Man movie. And that movie would change my life forever. I was well aware of the movie's existence before that, and like, I also remember the advertisements on TV. Like, I remember vividly, like, the previews that I saw of it in the movie theater, and then seeing the advertisements on TV about, like, this guy, like, in a red and gold suit, and and his face lit up with like screens all around him, and like shooting lasers from his palms and flying around like being a badass. It was sick, and my eyes were just wide and starry, and I looked to my dad like, we gotta watch this movie. Dad, can you take us? I want to watch this movie. And honestly, I didn't even really need to convince my dad. My dad saw like the advertisements too, and he was really impressed. And he was like a really big Marvel fan. So he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna go see this movie." Yeah, he said we were gonna go see this movie. He was gonna take us, and I was hyped. So was my little brother, and he was only, I think, was he? I think he was 5, because I just turned 9 when we went to go see it. Yeah, I just turned 9. And my little brother was 5, because I'm 4 years older than him. We're 4 years apart. But yeah, he was only 5 when we went to go see this movie, and it was awesome. It was so cool, just watching this, like being in the movie theater with my dad and my brother, watching Robert Downey Jr. blow shit up, and making a suit of armor in a cave, and building a glowing electromagnet that I used to think was his replacement heart, but I know better now. I was 9. And either way, this movie would be the gateway into Marvel or the MCU. And I had no idea what was in store. Like, I didn't knew that would be the beginning of an era of entertainment that would take the world by storm. And it was just, like, at the time, I was just a little kid now crushing on Tony Stark and being determined to marry him. And when I would rewatch it, I would swoon and giggle whenever I saw Tony on the screen. Be like, "Oh, Tony, I love you, Tony." Oh, little 9 or 10-year-old me just drooling over Robert Downey Jr. Though, to be fair, I did also drool over Johnny Depp for quite a while when I got into Pirates of the Caribbean, but that's a whole different thing. Yeah, I just go on and on, especially when I watch, like, the Avengers movie. Like, with the first Avengers movie, I watched The Incredible Hulk, and I thought it was cool. Like, and it was, like, really, like, the CGI was crazy, even though, like, you go back and watch it, the CGI is kind of poop, but whatever. For its time, it was really cool. And then, like, sticking around in the theater, like, I was just kind of, like, sitting there just like, well, why are we staying, like, after the credits? Like, the movie's over. And then I see Tony Stark, like talking about, like, this team, and I'm just like, wait, what? And then I had to rewatch the Iron Man movie, because I always turn off the movie after, like, when the credits started rolling. So then I rewatched the movie. I saw, like, this guy, like, with an eye patch and a black, like coat, like, saying, oh, like, I'm, like, asking Tony if he wants to join a team. Just like, what team? And then my dad's like, the Avengers. I'm like, what's the Avenger? What are the Avengers? It's like, oh, it's like the Justice League, but it has, like, Marvel characters like Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor. I'm just like, who are these people? What? That was the first time I ever learned anything about Marvel. The MCU was what opened my eyes, and, like, my dad, like, breaking it down for me. It was like, and then, like, seeing, like, there's like foreshadowing to, like, other movies that are gonna be connected and in the same world. I'm just like my mind broke. My brain broke when I'm just like, whoa, they're all gonna be in one movie together one day? And Dad's like, yeah, it looks like that's how things are going. I'm just like, what? Oh my god, it's still, like, thinking about it back to, like, how little I knew as a kid, like, and all the, and just learning about it, like, at the moment, I'm just like, whoa, that's nuts, that's so cool. But unfortunately, I didn't watch a lot of the other movies from the first phase. Because, like, my dad watched the first Avenger, like Captain America, and he watched Thor, and he said they were boring. So I kind of took his word for it, and I never bothered watching them, which I know is a sin. So I'm gonna, though I haven't rectified it since, so I'll probably have to fix it soon. And so yeah, like, I didn't watch a lot of the rest of the first phase movies. But yeah, I knew that Captain America, and also, like, I kind of got, like, what happened, like, in the other movies when I watched, like, the Avengers movie. I don't think I even watched Iron Man 2, which I think is because, from what I heard, Tony gets drunk a lot, and it shows that he has, like, a drinking problem. And I don't think my dad wanted me to watch that. But, yeah. So yeah, I didn't watch a lot of the other first phase movies until the Avengers movies, like the first Avengers movie, and like seeing so many of these cool heroes teaming up to defeat evil, and like Earth's mightiest heroes taking down Loki and an army from outer space, like to 13-year-old me, that was a movie I had to see. And thankfully, I didn't have to beg my dad to take us. He immediately made sure to take my brother and I to opening night when it came out. It was always opening night when it came to these movies. And even to, like, the new Star Wars movies that came out, which, The Force Awakens was good, but, like, the other ones, it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. But that's neither here nor there. I'm getting sidetracked. But yeah, like, the whole time, the movie just blew our minds. The editing, the action, even the CGI was great. And I was 100% gushing over Tony Stark the entire time. Like, he was so cool. And so was his suit. And, like, and his snarky attitude, like, interacting with, like, Captain America and just everyone around him. And I'm just sitting in 13-year-old me is just sitting in the theater like, gosh, he's such a smart ass. I love it. And the movie was funny. It had action and different people coming together and working to save the world. And I love this movie to this day. It's still one of my favorite movies in the MCU. Because it was around the time, it was the pinnacle of Marvel movies, because like there have been a couple movies before that, and it was just building up to like all of these heroes like coming together in one place and like wrecking shit up. It was so cool. So that was when I became a really big fan of the MCU, and like so much that like when I got into like the Amazing Spider-Man movies, awesome movies. It was supposed to be a trilogy, but there were only 2 movies, unfortunately. And yeah, I was convinced. I was hoping with my whole heart that Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man would join the MCU, but little tiny peanut brain little kid me had no idea how movie productions work or movie companies worked, and that Sony owned Spider-Man, and while Marvel was eventually bought by Disney, they did not have the rights to Spider-Man, which is why he couldn't be in the MCU at the time. But I didn't know that, so I was just thinking like, oh, come on, he has to be the MCU. Come on, Spider-Man's gotta be in the MCU. He's gotta be fighting with Iron Man and Captain America and the Hulk and Thor. And I was just, okay, I watched the first one. It was great. It was one of my favorites. I got it on Blu-ray and I would watch it so much because I loved Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. He was one of the coolest, he was one of the coolest Spider-Mans that I've ever seen. Though again, he wasn't a good Peter Parker because like he was like really cool. He was like kind of a hipster and not really like a nerd. Not really like a nerdy like science kind of person like like how Peter Parker is. But then like how he was as Spider-Man, it was like really good. It's really funny. But yeah, I watched the first one. It was great. And then I watched the second one, and I stayed sitting like to like for the end credit scene, just like come on, Nick Fury's gotta be like, he's gotta approach like Peter and be like, hey, do you want to join the team? But then it never happened. And I was so sad. Sony crushing my dreams. I mean, looking back and knowing how companies are, I know why. Like, I know why it wasn't a thing, but then back then I'm just like, why can't it be a thing? He's a Marvel character. Like peeking my mic over here. I was so sad. That was a big sad, like, throughout my Marvel Madness phase. I had a little title there. And oh man, my obsession just got worse from there. I started reading Marvel fan fiction about like Iron Man and like just the Avengers and the crew like hanging out at the Avengers Tower, and then reading fan fiction about Spider-Man actually becoming part of the team and like interacting with Tony Stark like I always dreamed. Because I, like, as soon as I saw like them making like the new Spider-Man movie, I'm just like, what if he's gonna be in the MCU? Oh my god, like him and Tony would get along so well because they're both like men of science, and then like they'll like do stuff and like build things, and then just oh my god, I'm still kind of gushing about it now because like it was so good. But then of course they later, like Marvel and Sony, they finally worked something out and they were able to like incorporate Spider-Man into the MCU around the time of Captain America Civil War. And like at first when I heard his voice, like I was just like, wait, that's not Andrew Garfield. And I was a little disappointed at first, but then seeing Tom Holland, it's like I forgive this. I forgive this because he is cute and he's a dork and I love him. He is me. Yes. Like Tom Holland's Spider-Man is the best Spider-Man. Like I know a lot of people disagree on this, and I understand it, but to me, Tom Holland's Spider-Man is the Spider-Man. It's so good. It's so good, and I love it, and I relate to it. It's so good. But yeah, after that, I was just like, oh my god, when are they gonna get a Spider-Man movie? And then Spider-Man Homecoming came out, and I fell in love. I'm just like, Tony, I'm sorry, but meet my husband. And then I'm just, oh my god. Yeah, Peter Parker is adorable. He is. And then just seeing it, and then just seeing him like being brought into this universe, and eventually like joining the team and interacting with Tony Stark and having that father-son relationship that I always fantasize about. It was just like, I was just like, oh my god, it's happening. He's talking to him. They're interacting with each other, and he's gonna like seeing him in the MCU, and then watching like those, and then watching the first Spider-Man movie, and then all the other movies in between, like Doctor Strange and Black Panther, The Winter Soldier. Oh, and Ant-Man. Ant-Man was really funny. Like the Ant-Man movies are so funny. Like, and Paul Rudd, like as Ant-Man. I mean, come on. And then his friend is so funny. He is so, and the way like he like tells story, like his storytelling is like all over the place, much like mine, and it's so like it's ridiculous, and despite what people say, like even though like a lot of people don't like Go back to watch it. It's still a pretty funny movie, and even my dad goes back to watch it because he thinks it's hilarious. And after watching all of those, like, it was all building up, just like, oh my god, when are we gonna face the big bad? When are we gonna? And I can't forget Guardians of the Galaxy, really good. The bunch of a-holes, the Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, that was one of my friend's favorite movies, and it's really good. It's hilarious. It's great, and just like a team like doing like missions like from a spaceship and all that. It was nuts. And then also learning a little bit more about like the big bad, like Thanos and things like that. Yeah, all of that was just building up to this like one big bad, this one threat that was like so powerful, and it happened and I was wrecked. Let's start from the beginning there. I So this was before I got wrecked. I was like wearing my Marvel t-shirt. I was wearing some cute ass leggings. I wore my Iron Man hat. I wore my Spider-Man hoodie. I had it all I had like some of my Marvel t-shirt showing. I had it zipped up to show like the Spider-Man symbol. And I was ready. I was ready. And I was so excited. I was with a couple of my friends from high school, and we were waiting in line at this big mall at this really nice movie theater. Like we were waiting this long line, and it's just like, yeah, we're gonna go see it. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna see Spider-Man and Iron Man fucking kicking ass with the other Avengers and beating Thanos. And spoiler alert, it did not happen. It didn't happen. Just dust. Dust to T'Challa, dust to Spider-Man, dust to Bucky, dust to Groot, dust to Star-Lord, and freaking, and I think Natasha, and just a whole bunch of people. So many people. And oh my god, I remember like there was also one moment where like I thought Tony was gonna die, like in that movie where Thanos like ripped off like the blade from like his nanotech suit and stabbed him in the side. I remember I shrieked. I held on to my friend sitting next to me and I shrieked. And everyone else was freaking out. I've never been so emotionally connected with a room full of strangers before. It is an experience like nothing else ever. Like seeing like all of this, like they're all building up, like, yeah, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do it together, and then they just get fucked up. Like people are down, then like he finally has like all the Infinity Stones. He snaps his fingers and pff, done. Oh wait, Natasha didn't get dusted. A lot of other people did, and I don't even think Clint did. Nah, he didn't. But yeah, like a lot of people, they lost a lot of people, and it sucked. It sucked so bad. And I think like the moment I cried most of was of course when Spider-Man started fading away, and he was holding on to Tony and crying. I was messed up. I walked out of that theater after all of that, and I was broken. I was a broken woman, and I was wearing all my stuff, like my Spider-Man hoodie and my Iron Man hood and my Iron Man hat, and I was just like I had tears coming down my face. I was sniffling and my friends walked out with me, and they had to hold me back because I was also so, while I was sad, I was also so angry. And I saw another big line waiting to see the next showing. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna spoil this. They need to feel my pain. And then they had to hold me like, no, you're not gonna spoil it. You're not gonna spoil it. Let's just go somewhere and let's calm down. Just like, and I just started crying again, and they kind of just led me somewhere else, and I got a cinnamon bun from Cinnabon, and just ate it and cried more. Cinnabon really came through to make me feel better that night. it was rough. And just like, okay, they better fix everything in the next movie. They better fix everything, or I swear, I was so mad and I was so upset, like leaving that movie. But it was also, but then I could knock it because it was such a good movie. Like I hated what happened, but I just loved the movie. It was weird. And then I have like a post of it on my Instagram where I have like a piece of black tape over my mouth while I'm wearing my Tony Stark, my Stark Industries t-shirt, black. I wore all black when I went to school the next day. Very appropriate. And yeah, I wore all black except for my Spider-Man hoodie. I had that and had a piece of black tape over my mouth because I didn't want to spoil anything. It was just kind of like a visual representation. Just like, I'm not going to spoil anything, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut. And yeah, I was sitting with my friend. I was sitting with my friend at the time. It's like on my Instagram. And if you're curious about it, you can scroll through my Instagram and you'll find it. It's from middle school. Well, no, it's from high school. And I had this hat on, this like flat cap. It was given to me by a really good friend of mine. And yeah, like that day I went back to school, it was rough. And then when I went to go see Endgame, yeah, they were like working. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna get everyone back. And even though like people were talking about it, I didn't want to like listen to it in case it wasn't true. But then the fact that there was like time travel involved, I was just like, okay, I really hope they don't fuck this up, because when you mess with time travel, things can get confusing, and then things can get messy, and sometimes, like, some shows and movies that deal with time travel, they can get messy, and things can get all out of whack, including the plot, especially the plot. But they handled it pretty well, at least in my opinion, and it was really good. But yeah, they were like going back in time. They were gonna get all the Infinity Stones, like before Thanos did, and then they were all gonna like stop this from like snap their fingers and bring everyone back. And it was, and then like building up to it when like Thanos like faces them to like get like the gauntlet back and just finish his work and everything. Like in the beginning when they first killed him, I felt satisfaction, but then I felt empty because but then he's dead and no one's back, so now what do we do? Yeah, but then the fight with them, the fight building up to the climax and getting everyone back and trying to stop him from snapping the rest and the half of the world out of existence. And oh my god, when Captain America picked up was it Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, Captain America Steve Rogers picking up the hammer and using it to whoop Thanos, just beat the shit out of Thanos. The theater was so loud. Everyone was cheering whoa! Especially when he started using the lightning, and he was bouncing, he was hitting his shield with the hammer and hit and whacking it into Thanos and shit like that. It was nuts. The whole theater was so loud. Everyone was going crazy. And then when Thanos just breaks his shield and tears it to pieces, that's when things got a little scary. And then we heard because they snapped their fingers, they brought everyone back, so there was backup waiting, and there were so many. It was amazing. I honestly I cried. I'm not afraid to admit it. I cried when especially when I saw everyone that was snapped, and seeing Peter there, and my heart just felt full, and I was so excited. And then he finally said the lines, "Avengers Assemble." Oh my god, I never felt euphoria like that. It was a feeling that I can't even describe, and people that went to see it opening night probably couldn't explain it either. It's just that everyone was, again, like feeling so connected to a room full of strangers was just so surreal. But then, like, of course, like, there's some things, like, with the ending that I didn't like. I mean, yeah, like, they brought everyone back, and it was great, but they killed my boy. They killed Iron Man. But I mean, it was a self-sacrificial act, and I knew it was someone had to do it. Someone had to take the stones and snap. But why couldn't it have been Captain America? It should have been Steve. It should have been Steve. I keep saying this. It should have been Steve that bit the dust. I was so angry, and I was so sad, and I sobbed seeing, like, his arm just, like, obliterated, and, like, the skin, like, on his face, like, burned. He could barely talk. Oh my god, I'm getting teary-eyed just talking about it and thinking about it, especially when Peter went up to him and said, like, "We won, Mr. Stark. We won." And then he's asking him to look at him. He's like, "I'm sorry, Tony." I'm like, oh, I'm gonna cry. It was hard for me to watch, and it's still hard for me to watch it now. It was a lot because he was one of my favorites, and I really liked him as a character, even though some people, like, don't like him, and they think, like, oh, he's just a rich guy in a suit. Like, that's what Batman is. Your point? But yeah, like, a lot of people say, like, oh, like, you can't really relate to him because he's rich and all that. But, like, and I know that he has, like, Tony as a character, he has a different life, and he has different experiences, and he's had a lot more opportunity because of who he is and what he is. I'm rambling now about, like, why I like Tony Stark. I think I can actually, yeah, I'm not gonna get too into it because I think that could be its own separate video about why I like Tony Stark. I'll probably make a video, and you can let me know in the comments if you want to see it. If you want to see me ramble about, like, Tony Stark and stuff like that. But yeah, like, seeing him, like, losing him at the end of Endgame, it broke my heart. Like, he had a kid, and Peter came back and was gonna be by Tony's side, and he was going to learn from him, and I saw it all in my mind and in every fan fiction I ever read. And then Steve, end of the line, Rogers, gets to go back in time and be with Peggy. End of the line, my ass! I'm still mad about it because he told Bucky he would be there for him till the end of the line. And that didn't happen. That's why I thought it should have been Steve, so that, like, well, yes, he would have died, but he would have fought till the end, and he would have been able to say goodbye to Bucky and just, like, and actually be there till the end of the line. But nope, he went back in time to be with Peggy. And I get it, he loved her, but he also kissed like her great niece or some shit, and I still can't get over that. And so yeah, he did that. He went back in time, he got to be with Peggy, and, like, roll credits. I'm like, why? Why couldn't it have been Captain America? Why couldn't it have been Cap? I'll never know. And then after that, I watched, like, the other Spider-Man movies, like Far From Home and No Way Home. And I watched, like, Multiverse Madness. That was great. It was really good. And just the two, like, Spider-Man movies that I saw, like, how, like, in in Far From Home, like he was still like going through the motions and still grieving the loss of Tony, because he really looked up to him, and he was like, and he was the one of the biggest heroes that was guiding him to being a better hero himself, and like, and things like that. And yes, he does have May, but like I really feel like that his relationship with Tony was something special, and I wanted to see more of it, and I was looking forward to it, but the those guys, they didn't want that to happen, apparently. And then just like seeing him like still mourning the loss of like someone he looked up to, like it was really heartbreaking to see, especially because people were looking to him like, who's gonna be the next Iron Man? Are you gonna be the next Iron Man? And he's still just a kid. He's just a kid. And he's still a kid in mourning. And then when you think about it, it's really heartbreaking to see, especially when he breaks down like, I can't forget him, I miss him. And oh my god. And in No Way Home, when he has like to make, again, spoilers, I'm sorry if you haven't seen the movie and this is a spoiler, I really don't mean to spoil anything, but like when he has to like make everyone forget who he is, honestly, that it just kills me inside because he's all alone, and he never he wasn't able to go to MIT. He can't be with like his friends because no one remembers who he is, and it was just a lot. It was a lot, like, seeing that. And even though like I've kind of fallen behind a bit on the MCU, like I'm gonna work to like watch like some of the other movies and like catch up like on the timeline, just so we can just so I can see like the build up and how like, and maybe like what, like who the next big bad is gonna be. A lot of people say it's gonna be like a big bad from like the X-Men, because like soon they're gonna be coming to the MCU and stuff like that. Especially with like a Deadpool, like bringing back Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, so look out for that. But yeah, from the time that I was like a little kid, like up until even now, even though I've mellowed out a bit, I'm still like a really big fan of like the MCU and the Marvel movies, and it really means a lot to me. And it was a phase that I haven't really grown out of completely, but got it. It consumed my life for a time, and it was honestly the best. And I made a lot of really good friends, like watching these movies and talking about them and like theorizing like ideas of like, oh, like when, like which superhero is gonna come in and at what time, or like what's gonna happen, and just like the whole like the overarching story. It was so like there was nothing like it. And it's still like just like a kind of like a landmark in cinematic history that everyone will like look back on and say like, wow, they did really cool things, like, and it's something that I grew up with and something that I watched to grow. And I think that's really cool that I was there for the beginning, and I'm hopefully gonna be there to see the end. Though I do feel like they could have ended at Endgame or something like that, but then again, of course, like there are other heroes, there are other stories, and there are other evils. And I'm really curious about who the next big bad is. A lot of people have theorized it, and if you go on Film Theory, you can probably see some like other good ideas. So yeah. I was really into Marvel, and it's been a big part of my life, and it still is, and it really means a lot to me. And I want to know like what movie series, trilogies, like sagas, like what kind of movies did you really like growing up, or if you really like the MCU like I did. Then you can talk about like your favorite MCU film and write it down in the comments, your favorite Marvel character, or even just your favorite superhero. And if you want, you can talk about like what you really liked about them, what you related to, and like why you looked up to them, like as a kid, as a teenager, as an adult. Because a lot against what, like, even if there's some people that still think like this, honestly, they need to get a life. But superheroes aren't just for kids. Comic books aren't just for kids. They're for everyone. There's so many adults that collect comic books and action figures and figurines and watch these movies, like, because they grew up with it and they love it to this day. So if you still like it and someone tries to shit on you for it, then honestly, like, just to spite them, like, just be happy about it and gush about it more, talk about it more. Like, even if it gets annoying, like, because it's something you love and something you appreciate. No one should ever make you feel bad about that. I used to be self-conscious about it too, about some of the things I love. While there's some memories that are cringy, it was something at the time I was happy. I was so happy and overjoyed and excited. And if you're feeling like that about something, no one should make you feel bad about it or try to stomp your joy. Yeah, that was I think that's about all I have to say about that. This is probably going to be a bit of a long video, but if you like this video and you like my rambling, please leave a like on the video and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to let you know, like, so you know when I upload. And hopefully we're going to go through hopefully the next phase I talk about won't be like is it an hour? Almost an hour. But yeah, if you really like what I do, you can leave a comment down in the comments below, and you can also check out my Twitch, like, down in the description. I sometimes stream, and I like to chill out there, play Minecraft, and I'm currently playing Night in the Woods as well. Though I'm mostly playing Minecraft because it's how I unwind, even though it makes me anxious. But yeah, you can check that out, and yeah, later.